Hello, everyone. Welcome back to English in Fluency, the place where we help you move from learning English to actually living in English. I am your host, Alex, and today we have a very special and practical episode designed specifically for your listening practice. We are going to dive deep into the world of shopping, but not just the simple act of buying things. Today, we are focusing on the numbers, the deals, the offers, and the choices you have to make when you are standing in a store or chatting with a shopkeeper. Money is a universal language, but the way we talk about prices, discounts, and decisions in English can sometimes feel like a secret code. We are going to unlock that code today. Imagine you are standing in a busy market. The smell of fresh bread is in the air. You see a sign that says "Special Offer," but you aren't quite sure what it means. Does it mean half price? Is it buy one, get one free? Today, you are going to learn how to catch those details quickly and confidently. So, please put on your headphones, get comfortable, and let's practice listening to the rhythm of everyday shopping together. Make sure you listen all the way to the end, because we have some interactive practice sections where you can test your own skills. To begin our journey today, I want you to imagine a scene. It is a Saturday morning, sunny and bright. We are going to follow two friends, Jessica and Tom, as they navigate a local outdoor market. This isn't a supermarket where everything has a fixed price tag. In markets, prices can change, and conversations happen fast. This is where B1 level listening becomes really important because you need to catch the specific words that tell you how much something costs and if it is a good deal. Let's listen in on their first stop. They are walking toward a fruit stand. The colors are vibrant: oranges, red apples, and green pears. Jessica spots a sign, but she needs clarification. As you listen to this interaction, try to focus on the specific numbers you hear. Do not worry about understanding every single word. Just catch the price. Ready? Let's listen. Jessica walks up to the stall owner, a friendly man named Mr. Higgins. She picks up a large, shiny apple. She asks him about the cost. Mr. Higgins smiles and says that the apples are 90 pence each, but there is a special deal today. If you buy a bag of 5, the total price is only £3 and 50 pence. Jessica turns to Tom and does a quick calculation in her head. She whispers that if they buy 5 individually, it would be £4 and 50 pence. So, buying the bag saves them exactly £1. Tom nods and says that saving a pound is always good, and he loves apples, so they should take the bag. They agree to buy the bag. Now, let's break that down. Did you catch the numbers? First, we had the individual price. Mr. Higgins said 90 pence each. In casual English, we often drop the word pence and just say 90 pence. But here he was quite clear. Then he offered a deal. A deal is a special offer. The deal was a bag of 5 for £3.50. This is a crucial listening skill. When we say prices like £3.50, we don't always say the and. We say it smoothly. £3.50. Jessica did the math. 5 apples at 90 pence each is £4.50. The deal price was £3.50. The difference is £1. That is the discount. This interaction shows you the most common structure for offers in English. First, the shopkeeper states the standard price. Then they introduce the offer using words like but, however, or if you buy. When you hear if, get ready for a condition and a better price. Let's move to the next stall. This time Tom wants to buy some cheese. The cheese stall is very popular, and there is a bit of noise in the background. This is good practice because real life is noisy. Tom is looking at a block of cheddar. He asks the vendor about the price. The vendor, a woman named Sarah, tells him that the cheddar is currently on sale. Usually it costs £5 for 200 grams, but this week there is a 20% discount. Tom looks interested. He asks her what the final price is. Sarah tells him that with the discount, it comes to £4. Tom thinks for a moment. He asks if he can taste a piece first. Sarah cuts a small slice and hands it to him. Tom tastes it and nods. He decides to take 2 blocks. This is where the math gets interesting. He asks Sarah for the total. She tells him that 2 blocks at £4 each makes it £8. In this scenario, we heard the phrase on sale. This is different from for sale. If something is for sale, it just means you can buy it. If something is on sale, it means it is cheaper than usual. It has a discount. Sarah mentioned a 20% discount. This is a common way to lower prices. We often talk about percentages in shops, especially during sales seasons. Did you hear how Tom asked for the total? He didn't just say, "How much?" He asked, "What's the total?" This is a useful phrase when you are buying multiple items. Sarah's calculation was straightforward, but sometimes shopkeepers round numbers or give you an extra discount for buying more. This is called bulk buying. Now, I want you to practice with me. I am going to give you a scenario, and I want you to imagine the answer. Then I will tell you the answer. Imagine I am selling you a book. I tell you the book costs $10. But then I say, if you buy 2, I will give you a 50% discount on the second one. How much would 2 books cost? Think about it. The first book is $10. The second book is 50% off. 50% of 10 is 5. So the second book is $5. 10 plus 5 is $15. So 2 books cost $15. This is a buy one, get one half price offer. It is slightly different from buy one, get one free. In a buy one, get one free deal, you would pay $10 for 2 books. Hearing the difference between half price and free is essential for your wallet. Let's go back to our friends Jessica and Tom. They have finished at the market, and now they are heading to a clothing store. Jessica needs a new jacket for work. They walk into a large department store. The environment here is different. It is quieter, and there are racks of clothes everywhere. Jessica finds a jacket she likes. She looks at the price tag. It says £120. That is quite expensive. However, there is a red sticker on the label. Tom points out that the red sticker might mean it is in the sale. They call over a shop assistant named David. Jessica asks David if the jacket is part of the seasonal sale. David checks the label and confirms that it is indeed in the sale. He explains that all red stickered items are currently 30% off the original price. Jessica is happy to hear that. She asks David what the new price is. David takes a moment to calculate. He says that 30% off £120 is a saving of £36. Therefore, the jacket now costs £84. This interaction highlights the phrase, part of the sale. Often in clothing stores, you will see sections marked sale or clearance. Clearance usually means the shop is trying to get rid of these items to make space for new stock, so the prices are often very low. Here they talked about 30% off. Remember, Off means you subtract that amount. David calculated the saving. The saving is the money you do not have to spend. A saving of £36 is a good deal. But then Jessica notices a small sign near the counter. It says, "Extra 10% off today only." She asks David if this applies to the jacket. David smiles and says yes, that is their flash sale. A flash sale is a sale that happens very quickly, often just for a few hours or one day. So now, Jessica gets an extra 10% off the sale price. This is where it gets tricky. The 10% is not taken off the original price of $120. It is taken off the new price of $84. Let's do the math together. 10% of 84 is £8 and 40 pence. So, we subtract that from 84. 84 minus 840 is £75 and 60 pence. That is the final price Jessica has to pay. Listen to how these numbers sound when spoken quickly. We say 84. We say 840. We say 75.60. In spoken English, when we talk about money, we often group the numbers. If it is £75 and 60 pence, we say 75.60. It sounds much faster. You have to train your ear to hear the gap between the pounds and the pence. If you hear 12.99, you know it is £12 and 99 pence, not 12,900. Now, let's talk about making choices. Shopping isn't just about price, it is about options. Sometimes you have to choose between two similar items. Let's listen to a conversation between a customer named Brian and an electronics store employee named Elena. Brian wants to buy a new coffee machine. He is standing in front of two models. One is silver and one is black. He asks Elena for advice. Elena tells him that the silver model is the best seller. It costs £50. It has a standard glass pot. The black model is a bit more advanced. It has a thermal pot that keeps coffee hot for 2 hours. However, the black model costs £65. Brian thinks about his morning routine. He usually drinks his coffee quickly, so he doesn't need it to stay hot for hours. But he thinks the black one looks cooler in his kitchen. He asks Elena if there are any free gifts included. Elena says that with the black model, they are giving away a free bag of premium coffee beans. With the silver model, there is no gift. Brian calculates. The black model is £15 more expensive, but the coffee beans are worth about £10. So, the real difference in value is only £5. He decides to go with the black model because he likes the thermal pot and the free coffee. In this scenario, we heard the phrase best seller. This means the item that most people buy. Elena gave a recommendation. When shopping, you will often hear phrases like, "I recommend this one," or "this one is more popular." Elena also introduced the concept of a free gift. Companies often add free items to make a deal sound better. The phrase "giving away" means providing for free. Brian used logic to make his choice. He compared the features, the price, and the extra gift. When you are listening to these conversations, listen for the word "however" or "but." Those words signal a shift in the pros and cons. The black model is better. However, it is more expensive. The silver model is cheaper, but it has no gift. These connecting words are key to understanding the decision-making process. I want to pause here for a moment to remind you that listening practice is about patience. If you missed a number in those stories, do not worry. The goal is to expose you to the flow of the language. Now, we are going to make things a little bit more challenging. We are going to look at a situation involving a return and an exchange. Sometimes you buy something and it isn't right. Maybe it doesn't fit, or maybe it is broken. You have to go back to the shop. This requires very specific language. Let's meet a character named Sophie. Sophie bought a toaster yesterday. She took it home, but when she plugged it in, it didn't work. She is back at the store now, speaking to the manager, a man named Rick. Sophie explains the situation calmly. She says she bought the toaster yesterday afternoon, and it is faulty. Rick asks to see the receipt. Sophie hands it to him. He checks the date. He apologizes for the inconvenience. He asks Sophie if she would like a refund or an exchange. A refund means getting your money back. An exchange means getting a new item of the same type. Sophie thinks about it. She really needs a toaster. She says she would prefer an exchange, but she is worried the new one might be broken too. Rick assures her that this is a rare problem. He tells her that he can give her a discount on a more expensive model if she wants to upgrade. He points to a stainless steel toaster that costs £20 more. He offers her a 10% discount on the difference. Sophie looks at the nicer toaster. She decides to exchange her broken one for the better model and pay the extra difference. Let's analyze the vocabulary here. Sophie used the word faulty. This is a very useful B1 word. It means broken or not working correctly. If you say, it's broken, it is fine, but it's faulty sounds a bit more formal and precise. Rick asked the crucial question, refund or exchange? This is standard customer service language. Then, Rick used a technique called upselling. He tried to sell her a more expensive item. He offered a discount on the difference. The difference is the gap in price between the two items. Sophie had to make a choice: stick with the original item or pay more for a better one. These conversations happen very fast in real life. The shop assistant will often speak quickly because they have processed many returns that day. You need to listen for the options. Would you like X or Y is a common structure. If you don't understand, it is perfectly okay to say, could you repeat that, please? Or, could you speak a little slower? Let's practice one more interaction regarding choices. This time, we are at a train station ticket office. Buying tickets involves choices about time, comfort, and flexibility. A traveler named Lucas is speaking to a ticket agent named Nina. Lucas wants to go to London. He asks for a return ticket. Nina asks if he wants a peak or off-peak ticket. Lucas asks what the difference is. Nina explains that a peak ticket allows him to travel at any time, including the busy morning hours, but it costs £50. An off-peak ticket is cheaper, costing only £30, but he cannot travel before 10 in the morning or between 4 and 7 in the evening. Lucas checks his watch. It is currently 9 in the morning. He thinks he might want to leave soon. He asks Nina if there is a super off-peak option. Nina says yes, the super off-peak ticket is £25, but he can only travel after 11 in the morning. Lucas realizes he has to wait 2 hours to save £5 compared to the regular off-peak ticket. He decides that his time is more valuable than £5. He chooses the regular off-peak ticket for £30 because he can leave at 10, which is only 1 hour away. This is a classic listening challenge. The words peak and off-peak can be confusing. Peak means the top, the highest point, the busiest time. Off-peak means the quiet time. In this dialogue, there were 3 price points: 50, 30, and 25. There were also time restrictions. You had to process the cost and the time rules simultaneously. When listening, try to categorize the information. Is it a rule about time? Is it a rule about price? Nina used the phrase, allows you to travel. This indicates permission. She also used restrictions, though she explained them instead of using the word. Lucas made a choice based on value. Value is subjective. For him, waiting 1 hour was okay, but waiting 2 hours was too long for just £5. Now, let's switch gears a little bit. We are going to talk about food shopping and special offers in supermarkets. Supermarkets are masters of the offer. Let's listen to a couple, Maria and Sam, doing their weekly grocery shop. They are walking down the cereal aisle. Maria picks up a box of her favorite bran flakes. She sees a yellow sticker. She reads it out loud to Sam. It says, "Buy 2 for £4." She looks at the shelf label. The price for 1 box is £2.20. She does the math. 2 boxes at the regular price would be £4.40. The offer is £4. So, she saves 40p. It is not a huge saving, but it is something. She asks Sam if they have space in the cupboard for 2 boxes. Sam says they do, and since they eat cereal every day, it makes sense. However, just below that cereal, there is another brand. This brand says, "Special offer, 30% extra free." The price is £2.50. Sam suggests that this might be a better deal. Maria compares the two. The first deal gives you more cereal for a slightly lower total price if you buy 2. The second deal gives you 30% more cereal in 1 box, but the box costs £2.50. Which is better? Maria looks at the weight. The first box is 500 grams. The second box is usually 500 grams, but with the extra free, it is 650 grams. Sam does a quick calculation. If 500 grams costs £2.20, then 100 grams costs about 44p. So, 650 grams would cost about £2.86. But the price is only £2.50. So, the second deal saves them 36p compared to the normal price, and they don't have to buy 2 boxes. They decide to go with the extra free offer because it is more flexible. This is advanced listening because it involves comparative shopping. Phrases like "buy 2 for" and "extra free" are designed to grab your attention. In a listening test or in real life, you have to be a detective. Listen for the weight, grams, kilograms, and the volume, liters. The phrase "per kilo" or "per liter" is often shown on shelf labels to help you compare, but people rarely say it in conversation. They talk about the total price or the box price. Maria and Sam used the phrase "makes sense." This is a very common English expression to show agreement with a logical choice. It makes sense to buy it now. Let's move on to a situation where the price isn't clear. This happens often at independent shops or when items are not labeled correctly. We are at an antique shop. An older man named George is looking at a vintage lamp. There is no price tag. He has to ask. The shopkeeper, a woman named Irene, is sitting behind the counter. George points to the lamp and asks, "How much are you asking for this?" This is a polite way to ask for the price, usually used for unique or expensive items. Irene looks at the lamp over her glasses. She says she is looking for around £50 for it. Notice the phrase, "around £50." This implies the price is negotiable. She isn't saying, "It costs £50." She is inviting an offer. George thinks 50 is a bit steep. He says, "Would you take 40? This is the language of bargaining. Would you take price?" Irene shakes her head slightly. She says she couldn't go that low, but she could let it go for 45. George smiles. He says, "How about we meet in the middle? 42.50? Irene thinks for a moment and agrees. She wraps the lamp up for him. This dialogue introduces the concept of haggling or bargaining. In many cultures, this is normal. In the UK or US, it is common in markets, car boot sales, and antique shops, but not in regular high street stores. The language here is soft. How much are you asking? I'm looking for around. Would you take? These phrases are indirect. Being too direct, like just saying I give you 40, can sound rude in English. We use modal verbs like would and could to sound polite. Could you do it for 40? Would you accept 40? Irene said she couldn't go that low. This is a refusal, but a polite one. She made a counteroffer. A counteroffer is a new price suggested by the seller after the buyer suggests a low price. They met in the middle, which means they compromised. Now, I want to take a moment to have you practice these structures with me. I will be the shopkeeper, and you can think of your response. Imagine I am selling a bicycle. I say, "This bike is 200 pounds, but I can give you a small discount." What do you say? You might say, "That's still a bit expensive. Would you take 150? Or maybe you ask, "What is the best price you can do?" Listen to the tone. If you sound interested but hesitant, the seller is more likely to lower the price. If you act uninterested, they might try harder to sell it to you. This is the psychology of shopping, all conveyed through listening. Let's return to our main narrative for the day. We are going to follow Jessica and Tom again. They have finished their shopping and are feeling hungry. They decide to stop at a cafe. Ordering food and drinks involves listening to a menu, which can be spoken quickly. They sit down at a table. The waiter, a young man named Leo, comes over. He asks if they are ready to order. Jessica says she is. She asks for a chicken sandwich. Leo asks, "Would you like that on white bread or wholemeal?" Jessica chooses wholemeal. Leo then asks, "For an extra £1.50, you can make it a meal deal. That includes a drink and a side of chips or a salad." This is the upsell again, Jessica thinks. She is quite hungry. She asks if the soup of the day is included in the meal deal. Leo says no, the meal deal is only for sandwiches and wraps. Jessica decides to take the meal deal. She chooses a lemonade for her drink and a side salad. Tom orders just a coffee. Leo asks, "What size?" "We have small, medium, and large." The large is only 50 pence more than the medium. Tom is thirsty, so he decides to go large. Leo takes the order and leaves. In this cafe scene, we heard options: white or wholemeal, chips or salad, small, medium, or large. The waiter used the phrase, "make it a meal deal." This structure, "make it a product name," is very common. The meal deal offers value. Individually, a sandwich, a drink, and a side might cost £8. The meal deal might be £6. The upsize on the coffee is another classic offer. For only amount, you can get more. When you are listening, pay attention to the word only. It is a marketing word. It makes the extra cost sound small. Only 50 pence more. But 50 pence here and 50 pence there adds up. As we progress further into our practice, I want you to imagine a husband and wife, Peter and Anna, who are planning a vacation. They are looking at hotel prices on a laptop. This involves reading prices out loud and discussing the pros and cons of different offers. Peter is scrolling through a website. He says, "Look at this hotel, Anna. It's got a great view of the sea." Anna leans in. She asks about the price. Peter says, "It's £150 per night." Anna thinks that is quite high. She asks if breakfast is included. Peter checks the details. He says, "No, breakfast is an extra £20 per person per day." Anna quickly calculates that for 2 people for 5 days, that is an extra £200. She suggests looking for a bed and breakfast place instead, where breakfast is included in the price. Peter agrees, but says he really wants the swimming pool that the big hotel has. He finds another tab on the website. "Wait," he says, "there is a non-refundable rate. If we pay now and don't cancel, it's only £120 a night." Anna worries about the non-refundable part. "What if we get sick?" she asks. Peter says they can buy travel insurance for £30 that covers cancellation. So, the math is £30 insurance plus £120 per night. That totals £630 for the room versus $750 for the flexible rate. They are saving money, but taking a risk. They discuss it. Peter argues that the saving is worth it. Anna is more cautious. Eventually, they compromise. They book the flexible rate for the first 2 nights and the cheaper, non-refundable rate for the last 3 nights. It is a mix of safety and savings. Did you follow all of that? There were a lot of numbers. £150 per night. Extra £20 per person. 2 people for 5 days. Non-refundable rate. Travel insurance. The concept of non-refundable is vital in travel English. It means if you change your mind, you lose your money. Flexible rate means you can cancel for free, but it costs more. Peter and Anna found a middle ground. This is how native speakers talk about financial decisions. They weigh the cost against the benefit. Is it worth it? Is the question they are asking. We have covered a lot, but the world of shopping is vast. We are now going to explore some more complex situations that you will definitely face in real life. We are going to talk about technology, contracts, and those confusing moments when you have to read the small print. This is where B1 listening becomes really practical, because making a mistake with the contract or a phone plan can be expensive. So, take a deep breath, relax your shoulders, and let's jump right back into the flow of English conversation. Our first stop in this section is an electronics store. This is a place where prices are high, and the salespeople often use technical language mixed with financial offers. Imagine a young man named Mark. He has just started university, and he needs a new laptop for his studies. He is standing in a large, brightly lit store, looking at a wall of shiny computers. He is approached by a sales assistant named Chloe. Chloe is very enthusiastic. She asks Mark what he is looking for. Mark explains that he needs something fast enough for writing essays and watching videos, but he has a strict budget of £500. Chloe nods and points to a sleek silver laptop. She tells him that this model is currently their best seller for students. She says the price tag is £480, which fits his budget perfectly. But then, she starts to add the extras. She asks if he needs antivirus software. Mark asks if that isn't already included. Chloe explains that basic security is included, but the premium protection plan costs just £30 for a year. Mark hesitates. He wonders if he really needs it. Then, Chloe mentions the warranty. She says the laptop comes with a standard 1-year warranty, but for an additional £50, he can upgrade to a 3-year warranty that covers accidental damage. Mark's head is spinning a little. The laptop was $480, but now there is a potential £30 for antivirus and £50 for the warranty. That adds up to £560, which is over his budget. He listens carefully to Chloe's tone. She is pushing the warranty. She uses the phrase, "It gives you peace of mind." This is a very common persuasive phrase in English sales. Peace of mind means you don't have to worry. Mark thinks about it. He decides to decline the antivirus software because he knows he can download a free version online. But he is worried about dropping the laptop. He asks Chloe if the accidental damage covers a cracked screen. She confirms that it does. Screens are expensive to replace. Mark decides to compromise. He buys the laptop for $480 and adds the extended warranty for $50. His total cost is £530. He negotiates a little by asking if she can throw in a free laptop bag, since he is spending extra on the warranty. Chloe checks with her manager and agrees. Mark leaves the store happy, having spent slightly more than he planned, but feeling secure. This scenario introduced the concept of upselling and add-ons. An add-on is something extra that is not part of the main product. When you listen to these conversations, pay attention to how the salesperson introduces the extra cost. They often use words like just, only, or a small additional fee. They try to make the price sound small. For Mark, hearing just £50 sounded manageable, but he had to add it to the base price to see the real impact. Also, notice the phrase, throw in. This is casual English for adding something for free to close a deal. If you are buying something expensive, you can always ask, "Can you throw in a case?" or "Can you throw in free delivery?" It never hurts to ask. Now, let's move to a situation that involves monthly payments and contracts. This is often the hardest part of listening because the numbers are not just one-time prices. They are spread over time. We are going to listen to a phone call between a customer named Sarah and a phone company representative named Ben. Sarah wants to upgrade her mobile phone. She calls the customer service line. An automated voice answers, but we will skip that and go straight to Ben. Ben greets Sarah and asks how he can help. Sarah says she wants to upgrade her phone and maybe change her tariff. Ben looks at her account. He says she is eligible for an upgrade. He offers her the latest smartphone for free if she signs a new 24-month contract. Sarah asks about the monthly cost. Ben tells her that the plan she is currently on costs £30 a month. However, to get the free phone, she needs to move to the unlimited data plan, which is £45 a month. Sarah does the mental math. Her current plan is £30. The new one is $45. That is a difference of £15 a month. Over 24 months, that is 15 times 24, which is £360. So, the phone isn't really free. She is paying for it through the higher monthly bill. She asks Ben if there is a way to keep her current price. Ben says that if she wants to keep the £30 tariff, she would have to pay an upfront cost for the phone of £200. Now Sarah has a choice. Does she pay £200 now and keep the low monthly bill? Or does she pay zero now but pay an extra £360 over 2 years? She asks Ben about the data allowance. She asks how much data she gets for £30. Ben says she gets 10 gigabytes. Sarah knows she never uses more than 5 gigabytes. She realizes that the unlimited data offer is not a good choice for her because she doesn't need it. She decides to pay the £200 up front and keep her cheaper monthly plan. It saves her money in the long run. This dialogue is packed with conditionals. If you sign, you get. If you want to keep, you have to pay. Listening for if is crucial. It sets the rule. Also, listen for upfront cost. This means money you pay immediately. Monthly installments or monthly bill means money paid over time. Sarah made a smart choice by calculating the long-term cost. In English listening exams, you will often be asked to compare two offers like this. You have to listen for the starting price, the duration, how long the contract lasts, and the final total. Let's switch gears again. We are going to visit a car rental desk at an airport. This is a classic travel scenario where prices can change rapidly based on insurance options. Imagine a couple, David and Lisa. They have just landed in Spain for a holiday. They go to the rental car counter. The agent is a man named Roberto. He finds their reservation. He confirms they have booked a compact car for 7 days. The base rental price is €140. Roberto asks if they want to take the full coverage insurance. He explains that the basic insurance has an excess of €1,000. Lisa asks what excess means. Roberto explains that if they have an accident, they have to pay the first €1,000 of the damage. The full coverage insurance removes this excess, meaning they pay nothing if there is an accident. The cost of full coverage is €15 per day. David and Lisa discuss this quietly. They are good drivers, but they are in a foreign country, driving on the other side of the road. They are worried about scratches from other cars parking too close. David asks Roberto if the insurance covers tires and windshield. Roberto checks his screen and says no. The standard full coverage does not cover tires and windshield, but there is a premium package for €20 a day that covers everything. Lisa quickly calculates. 7 days at €20 is €140. That doubles the price of the rental car. They have to make a choice. Risk paying €1,000 if something happens, or pay €140 now for total peace of mind. They decide to take the standard full coverage for €15 a day, which costs €105. They decide to risk the tires and windshield. They sign the contract. Roberto tells them to check the car for scratches before they drive away. He hands them the keys. Here we encountered specific vocabulary: excess, or deductible in American English, coverage, and reservation. The concept of excess is often misunderstood. Listening for the conditions of insurance is vital. Roberto's explanation was clear. You pay the first. This defined their risk. The choice between saving money and reducing risk is a constant theme in shopping conversations. When you listen, try to identify the worst-case scenario the salesperson describes. Usually, they describe a bad outcome, paying €1,000 to make you buy the product, insurance, to avoid it. Now, I want us to practice listening to something a bit faster and more informal. We are going to a car boot sale. This is a very British tradition where people sell old items from the back of their cars in a large field. It is like a giant garage sale. Prices here are never fixed. Let's meet an older couple, Margaret and George. They are looking at a box of old books. A young man named Steve is selling them. Margaret picks up a book and asks, "How much for this one?" Steve says, "I'm looking for a fiver for the box, love." The word fiver is slang for £5. Margaret puts the book down. She says, "A fiver is a bit steep for a few old paperbacks." Steve laughs and says, "All right, make me an offer." Margaret thinks. She says, "I'll give you £2. Steve shakes his head. He says, "I can't let them go for two. How about £3.50? Margaret looks at George. George shrugs. Margaret says, "I'll give you £3, and I'll take that little vase as well." Steve looks at the vase. It has a small chip in it. He says, "Deal. £3 for the books, and I'll throw in the vase." Margaret hands over the money. This dialogue uses very colloquial language. A fiver. A tenner is £10. Bit steep means too expensive. Make me an offer invites bargaining. Deal means agreement. The negotiation was fast. Steve dropped from £5 to £3.50. Then Margaret offered £3 and added a condition: buying the vase. Steve agreed. When listening to informal bargaining, the grammar is often less structured. You will hear short sentences like, "can't let them go," instead of, "I cannot sell them." The speed is faster, and the tone is more relaxed. The key here is to listen for the final agreed number, which was £3 plus the vase. Let's try another interactive practice segment. I want you to imagine you are buying a pair of shoes. I will be the shop assistant. I say to you, "These shoes are £60, but today only we have a buy one, get one half price offer on all footwear. You want to buy 2 pairs of shoes. Both pairs cost £60 each. I want you to pause and calculate the total. Okay, let's solve it. The first pair is £60. The second pair is half price. Half of 60 is 30. So the second pair is £30. 60 plus 30 is £90. So you pay £90 for 2 pairs. You saved £30. In a conversation, you might ask, "Does the offer apply to sale items?" Or, "Can I combine this with my loyalty card?" Listen for the restrictions. Sometimes an offer sounds great, but there are exclusions. Exclusions apply means some items are not included. Now, let's listen to a conversation about a service rather than a product. This is about joining a gym. A young woman named Priya is touring a gym with a sales consultant named Mike. The gym is impressive with pools and machines. Mike is showing her the contract options. He says there is a monthly rolling contract for £40 a month, with no joining fee. But if she signs up for a 12-month fixed term, the price drops to £30 a month. But there is a joining fee of £50. Priya asks if she can freeze her membership if she goes on holiday. Mike says that on the 12-month contract, she can freeze it for 1 month a year for free. On the monthly rolling contract, she cannot freeze it. She has to cancel and rejoin, which costs the joining fee again. Priya plans to travel for 6 weeks in the summer. She realizes that the rolling contract is flexible, but more expensive monthly. The fixed contract is cheaper monthly, but commits her for a year, and the freeze only covers 1 month. She asks Mike if the £50 joining fee can be waived. Mike says, "I can't waive the fee, but I can give you a free personal training session worth £40 instead." Priya likes the sound of the personal training. She signs the 12-month contract. This scenario was about terms and conditions. Rolling contract means it continues until you cancel. Fixed term means you are locked in. Freeze membership means pausing your payments. The calculation here was about value. Priya weighed the inconvenience of the fixed term against the savings and the free gift. Mike used the phrase, "I can't waive the fee." Waive means to remove a charge. This is a very useful B1/B2 business word. In service conversations, always ask about hidden costs, like joining fees, admin fees, or cancellation fees. As we progress, let's look at a scenario involving a complaint about a price. Sometimes the price on the shelf is different from the price at the till, the register. This is a pricing error. Let's follow a customer named Ahmed. He is at a hardware store. He is buying a drill. He picked it up from a shelf that had a big yellow sign saying, "Clearance, £25." When he gets to the checkout, the cashier, a young woman named Jess, scans it. The screen shows £40. Ahmed stops her. He says, "Excuse me, that's scanning at 40, but the sign said 25. Jess calls for a price check. A supervisor named Tom comes over. He goes to check the shelf. He returns and tells Jess that the sign was left over from a previous sale that ended yesterday. The current price is indeed £40. Ahmed is not happy. He points out that the sign is misleading. He asks if they have to honor the price on the sign. Tom apologizes but explains that legally they don't have to sell it at that price because it was an error. However, as a gesture of goodwill, he offers Ahmed the drill for £35. Ahmed thinks about it. He still wants the drill. He accepts the discount, even though it wasn't the full 25. This conversation uses the phrase "scanning at." This is how we talk about the barcode reader. Honor the price is a strong phrase meaning to respect the advertised price. Gesture of goodwill is a standard customer service phrase used when a company admits a mistake or a perceived mistake and offers a small discount or freebie to keep the customer happy. Ahmed had to decide if he wanted to walk away or accept the compromise. This happens often. When you are in a shop and see a mistake, stay calm. Point out the discrepancy. Use phrases like, "The price displayed was," or "There seems to be a mistake." We are going to finish our extended practice today with a conversation about a very modern phenomenon: online shopping returns. This involves listening to policies about shipping and refunds. Let's meet two friends, Chloe and Ryan. Chloe bought a dress online. It doesn't fit. She is on the phone with the customer service team. The agent is named Sam. Chloe explains she wants to return the dress. Sam asks for the order number. He finds the details. He tells Chloe that she has 30 days to return the item for a full refund. However, she has to pay for the return shipping. Chloe asks how much that is. Sam says it depends on the courier, but usually around £5. Chloe asks if there is a free returns option. Sam says there is if she chooses a store credit refund instead of cash back. Store credit means she gets money to spend on the website later, but not her cash back. Chloe really wants her cash back. She checks the postal options. She decides to pay the £5 postage to get her £30 refund. She asks Sam for the return label. Sam emails it to her. This dialogue highlighted the difference between refund and store credit. When listening, always check if the shipping is free or paid. The phrase "restocking fee" is also common in electronics. A restocking fee is a charge for putting the item back on the shelf. Chloe avoided that here. Listening for time limits is also important. 30 days, 14 days. These numbers determine your rights. We have covered so much ground today. We talked about market apples and cheese discounts. We navigated clothing sales and flash offers. We discussed coffee machines and free gifts. We handled faulty toasters and train tickets. We compared cereal offers and haggled for lamps. We negotiated laptop warranties and phone contracts. We chose car rental insurance and gym memberships. We dealt with pricing errors and online returns. Through all of these, you have been practicing listening for numbers, specific vocabulary, and the logic of offers. Remember, listening is a skill. It is like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it gets. Don't be afraid to rewind and listen again. Try to predict what the speaker will say next. If you hear, however, expect a problem or a higher price. If you hear deal, expect a solution. Thank you so much for staying with me, Alex, for this extended session at English in Fluency. I truly hope these realistic scenarios help you feel more confident the next time you open your wallet or sign a contract in an English-speaking environment. If you found this helpful, please remember to like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend who is learning English. Your support helps us create more free content for you. Drop a comment below. Have you ever been confused by a price offer? Tell us your story. Until next time, keep practicing, keep listening, and keep speaking. See you in the next video.